being a country boy born in Woodville, Mississippi, you have certain challenges.
Right.
Growing up in a segregated educational system, there are certain things that you miss out on. So when I decided to go to college, one thing that I'm big on mentorship, things that helped me. My senior year, junior year in high school, a young man came back. Name is Thomas Tolliver. He came back, and I sing a lot of praises. He's deceased now. I sing a lot of his praises because when he came back to our high school, he came back on a mission to mentor young men and help. And he took me on his wing, and I would go to Jackson with him because that's where he graduated from. But when I looked at everything, I looked at Southern, I looked at Alcorn, from in Woodville, you
Yeah.
look at the different places that surround it. And I did all the school tours and all that. But, when you get to a place
Hmm.
where you feel comfortable with that, you just say, wow, this is home.
This is it. Yeah.
This is it. And you just know, this is what, where I want to be. But also the other piece is you got to look at the financial aspects of it, who
Correct.
offering you money. You got to look at the education aspect of it as to who is offering what program you want to get into. And so, man, it's just been, I sing Jackson State praises because I tell anybody, one of the 5 keys that I have used in my life to become successful, or if you want to call it success or whatever, is that education is one of those big pieces.
Yep.
And Jackson State provided that foundation for me to go into business and because when you look at college, you look at the business aspect, you look at the social aspect, you look at the fraternity aspect, you're an Omega,
Right.
I'm an Alpha. You just come into so many different things that broaden your horizon within that through Jackson State.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a segue to ask. So, what made you come to New Orleans, Louisiana?
Okay. I came to New Orleans. I was working in Jackson, and the young lady who I was dating at that time. Some people, you chasing a job or chasing a woman? My story is I was chasing a job. Her story is I was chasing her.
Oh, okay.
So I was working for a Oakley Training School, was a juvenile correction facility, working for the state of Mississippi. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed what I was doing, but the money just wasn't there.
Gotcha.
And at some point in time, I said, I need some money. So she moved to New Orleans. I came here, did some interviews, offered a job, and got into the credit and collection business. I tell people my 3 careers. My first career was all about the kids, developing and shaping, molding people. And I got a great feeling from that. When I went into credit collections, that was about the money. That was about the money. I've established myself in the credit and collection business, made money, left that in order to purchase and move into the McDonald's. Now, when I got into McDonald's, that was like heaven for me because I got the best of both worlds. I got to shape and mold kids and work with kids,
And
the
make
other
some money.
and make some money. So that was that whole
Okay.
trip.
So,
yeah.
so everybody out there, if you want to talk, if you want to join into the conversation today, give us a call, 504-582-9422. So, Mr. Terry, what are some of the biggest leadership challenges that you've had to face, and how have you been able to overcome them?
Okay, the Black Chamber, and I tell anybody, if you are not a chamber member, Black Chamber, please join. You learn so much. You get to network, bond with other people. So many opportunities are presented to you. So join the chamber from that standpoint. The biggest things that I actually speak on sometimes is the development of my business and development of people and dealing with how you shape and mold people. I give people 5 keys, and those 5 keys that has helped me to become successful. First of all, you got to have God in your life.
Yep.
And I've ruled my business based on a couple scriptures: unto who much is given, much is expected. For what profit shall a man gain the whole world and lose his soul? And the other one is through God, everything is possible. So religion is one. A foundation religion it sets your core as to who you really are. The second one is education. And we've hit on education already. If you don't have a basic education, man, you're lost.
Right.
You cannot become successful at too many things if you don't have education. You work a lot harder if you don't have education.
Mhm.
The third thing is have positive people in your life. And people don't understand that. You need a great support system. People are going to get you up, motivate you, push you on. Get rid of those bad apples. And we all know who they are in our life, but we need people who are going to be there and motivate us. The fourth thing is set goals. Well, let me correct that. Set realistic goals.
Wow.
You know, and I tell the joke that, you know, sometimes my suits get tight on me. I say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in 1 week. You know, it's a goal,
Yeah.
but it's not a realistic goal.
Correct.
So the key is to set realistic goals that's attainable. Because if you set goals for yourself that's not attainable, you get distracted, you get demotivated, and you lose focus on it. So set realistic goals. And 5, people don't want to hear this one, but it's the hardest. Make sacrifices. Man, that's the hardest aspect of any business, developing a business to make sacrifices. Now, that carries over into a business sense. But if you live your personal life and your business life by those 5 principles, you become a success at whatever you want to do. And I used to preach to a lot of my employees who say one day they want to go in business, and anybody I'm asked to speak to, well, they say, well, Mr. Scott, Mr. Terry, you know, you talk about those 5 principles and how they make you successful, but why are you not more successful than you are? I never followed those 5 principles all the time. You know, it's something you have to grow into.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I didn't always have God in my life. I did not always believe in education was the base, the foundation. I didn't also have positive. He had a lot of bad apples in my life.
Right.
Unrealistic goals. Sacrifice? Oh, heck no. I can't do that to do this. So once you
Real talk.
pull all those things in together, and you get focused on them and just can make a nice little ball out of them and follow them all at one time, it really helps.
For all of the entrepreneurs out there, or even prospective entrepreneurs, when you talk about making sacrifices, what's an example of a sacrifice that
You want to hear this?
I do?
Okay. Part of the McDonald's franchising program is that before you get into the program, you got to know the business from the ground level up. McDonald's basic philosophy is such a winning philosophy winning model is that in order to own a business, you got to know it
Right.
from the ground level up. You have a lot of business people who are great operational, you know, on how to do the job. But it's the back office sometimes that can take you out.
Yeah.
The taxes, you know, have a good tax attorney, a good lawyer, how to pay your bills, a good CPA.
Right.
A lot of people don't know how to take all that money ain't your money. You got to pay your vendors. You got to pay the federal government. You got to pay Social Security. So a lot of people don't understand what takes place in the back of the office. McDonald's required you before you become a franchisee, because I came from the outside, that I had to get trained and certified on every station in a McDonald's restaurant.
Wow.
You know, every station I
So you
got
was the
certified.
fried
I worked for
cook and
McDonald's. Here's
everything.
a sacrifice. I worked for McDonald's a year and a half, 40, 50, sometimes 60 hours a week to get certified to become a franchisee. And guess what? I didn't get paid during that
Wow,
time.
no
So
salary.
you want to know sacrifices, my
That's a
brother?
sacrifice.
So
That's sacrifice.
while you was doing that, working
Right.
at McDonald's,
Mhm.
did you have another job?
Well, what McDonald's don't recommend you do is that you go to that training program part-time so you can keep your full-time job.
Mm.
What I did was I worked, I had, like I said, retired, had a little retirement money set aside from leaving the credit and collection. But my wife was self-employed as an Allstate agent. So I assist her in her business with supplemented the income
Okay.
into the household. But also I cut back on a lot of my cars, got rid of that beautiful customized Corvette I had. You know, so you make sacrifices.
Right, right.
Stop shopping at Rubes, you know,
Right.
gave up some of the shirts and boots, and you make sacrifices
Yeah.
because you see the overall goal of what you need to do. So that's sacrifices, bro.
Well, when I met you, and now I can never tell that you made those type of sacrifices, and those were the things that you gave up.
Clean,
And look, ask some of my core people who was there, who saw me go through that year and a half training program, bro. When I went through that year and a half training program, coming home, man, saying, wow. You know, because every position you see in a McDonald's restaurant, I did everything from cleaning messed up toilets, every position you see. And the thing a lot of people don't understand is there's a difference between being trained on something and being certified on something.
Ah,
You know, train is you know how to do it. You take the fries, you put them in here, you hit the buzzer, come on, that's training. being certified on it means that you know the degree, what the oil is, you know how to take the fryer there, you know the measurements of the basket, you know where the French fries came from, how they was cut, salted.
Wow.
You know, and you're able to transfer that information to other people. So the people in my core group, they saw me going through this program, bro, because I had one of my best friends, Malcolm Jackson, and one of my frat brothers. He was going through he was working on his MBA the same time I was going through the McDonald's system. We was a talk and bounce stuff off of each other,
Right.
on some of the trials and tribulations that we were going through at that particular time. But you know, you find your support group, and they motivate you, and they come into the restaurant. And the trip part about it let you know some of them bad apples. They either come in McDonald's restaurant and see me and say, "Damn, bruh,
He'd have fell off.
we saw him." He was one of the first black managers for this collection agency.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Hit the glass ceiling, realized I got to go because I can't go no further. Next step was regional vice president. Bruh, and now look, he's working a dead-end job at McDonald's. He's running this big collection agency. And the trip part about my supporters, he's going to be an owner-operator one day because he's going, oh, that's what he's telling you? Okay. So, you go through that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just went through the program, and everything in there I worked and did, but it's about sacrifices, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, since you're retired now, and I know some of the things that you did when you was the CEO, president of the Scott Management Group.
Right.
So, how is Terry Scott involved in the local community now?
Okay. Since my retirement, 3.5 years, 4 days, 5 hours, 2 minutes and 1 second into my retirement, I'm doing things now because I want to, not because I have to.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm serving on a couple boards. I'm very active with Zulu. I serve on different committees with Zulu. I'm active with my fraternity. My main focus is Jackson State, extending and raising money for Jackson State, giving the opportunity to other students or people who have not had the same opportunity that I did to get an education. And then on the back burner, I'm doing stand-up comedy. This is something I'm pursuing things in my life now that if I had pursued them earlier in life, I've been broke,
Yeah.
because I didn't have the skill set well enough to pursue it as a career. Right. So now that trying to make money from something is not as important as the joy of doing it, the passion. My hobby is now turned into a passion. I love comedy. I'm not all that good at it, but I enjoy it. I've started learning to play the guitar. Man, that's a headache. Ooh, I'm trying to learn how to play the guitar. And I'm getting ready to start taking an acting lesson. I was talking to Graylin Banks earlier, man, and I got so much on my plate I'm excited about doing.
So when is your next performance?
Every Thursday night we do a comedy show, Comedy Gumbo, every Thursday night at the Howlin' Wolf, 8 o'clock.
All right.
And that's run by Fred Redbean, Nature Boy, and Carrie B. Those are the three staple comedians in this city. They've been running that show about 14 or 15 years. It's every Thursday at 8 o'clock. And I'm doing a lot of the shows for craft comedy. Jorge Velasquez, he runs some shows. Old School Jason. So whenever anybody contact me, I had a great time this past weekend with Danny Ivy, the Music Club on Facebook. The law firm that he works for had a big event at the lakefront out there, and I performed for them. So I'm, anybody asks me, I'm calling. But here's the big key. I recently got a gig, haven't performed yet, at a nursing home. A lady was in one of my shows, and she came up to me and she said, "You would be perfect. I'm the entertainment director at one of the nursing homes, and I want you to come and entertain us." I say, is it because I'm funny as a comedian, or is it because of my age? She said, you funny too. So so I said, you ain't gonna try to keep me there. You know? So and this is something I'm doing too. So I'm just just having fun, bro.
So let me get this out because I feel like these last couple of minutes we're gonna have a little fun. So the Regional Black Chamber of Commerce actively engages with the New Orleans business community year round, advocating for members, hosting networking events, and providing educational resources to support Black businesses. Our mission is to empower and sustain business growth in Louisiana, emphasizing the importance of active member participation for success. So people ask, why should I join the Regional Black Chamber of Commerce? And it's simple. The buying power for Black businesses is on the rise. More and more large companies are looking to partner and work with minority businesses. And where could you find the largest collection of minority businesses than with the Regional Black Chamber of Commerce? 2, that same population of large companies and agencies seek us out because of our ability to effectively connect minority businesses to opportunities. And creating opportunities for our members is our top priority. It's our goal to ensure our member businesses and organizations bring value to the business community, are competitive, and be sustainable for future generations. So if you ever wanted to know why you should join the Regional Black Chamber of Commerce, those are your reasons. So, Mr. Terry.
Yes, sir.
Second act, right? So second act being comedy. Who is your favorite comedian, and where do you and I guess the second question, where do you find the I guess like the passion for comedy? Where do you find your heck, dog? And
I understand what you're saying. Let me say it. But I understand what you're asking me. I love all comedians. I really do. Of course, the basic like Dave Chappelle, you know, his way of doing things, Tracy Morgan, Kevin Hart, Cat Williams. These guys are, anytime someone can make a living,
right,
make a good living, just walking on stage and saying whatever the hell you want to say, and people laugh at it. And I say, I would love to get to that point. One person came up to me one day and said, Terry, you know what? You funny. I said, I don't get to hear that often. I said, you funny. I said, now go find 1 million more people who feel the way you do. I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, but the key is it's a hobby. You know, some people fish. You know, when you catch that big one, you're excited.
Right.
Some people play golf. You hit that hole in one, you're excited. I get on stage, one person laugh.
You're excited.
I'm excited because I've succeeded on what I'm doing. And a lot of people don't understand, too, is that a hobby is something about relaxation. They're taking the pressures off of you.
Right.
And the best form of therapy, comedy is the best form of therapy in the world. And they ask me, fact or fiction, the things you say on stage. But the point is to be able to get on stage and say whatever the heck you want to say.
Right.
You know, and it could be fact, it could be fiction. It doesn't matter if you're laughing. And even if you don't laugh, it's something about getting out of what you get out of the show.
And that word I was looking for was inspiration.
Yeah.
It would not come out. But we do have to wrap up the show. So
we have no callers? Nobody called in out my PC. They lied to me. I sent out 1,000 messages, bro. I sent out 1,000. How many people watching on Facebook? I sent out 1,000 messages this morning to people.
Hey, but before
and they told me they want to call in. Okay.
Before we close, we got several things that's coming up with the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. On Wednesday, June 11, 2025, we have a corporate connect at the New Orleans Jazz Market. On Friday, June the 27th, 2025, at Suno, we have the Men's Empowerment event. And on Friday, October the 3rd, 2025, at Xavier University, we have the Women in Business event. So, and on Friday, November the 21st, we have our annual Golf Classic at Joseph M. Bartholomew Municipal Golf Course. So please put all these on your calendar. You will be hearing more information coming soon. Brother Terry,
support
I'm
the
already
chamber,
going to ask you, and I'm always going to ask you to be at the men's event So I'm looking forward to seeing
Support
your
the-
face in the
Bro,
place,
support the
and not
chamber.
only being in the place,
Uh-huh.
but being a part of the event.
And matter of fact, I want to shoot this in. I sent a bunch of messages out to people. It wasn't 1,000, maybe 500, but a couple people text me back and saying they're business owners. Say I'm going to join the chamber.
Cool.
And one is a CPA. She says she needs to become more active in that. I ain't gonna call no names because I don't want to out her like that. But more people saying that. So
That'll work.
We'll see y'all next week.
peace
See
and
you
blessings.
next week, baby.